There are less than 2 weeks before Google forces you to move over to GA4. I'm going to show you how to get to grips with GA4 as a marketer, help you find the revenue opportunities from your data, diagnose, fix, and explore the data that will prove the value of the marketing that you're doing. We're going to be looking at how to analyze traffic and conversions, and I'm going to be showing you some real-life comparables from actual analytics accounts so you know what you're looking out for. Ready? Let's go. Now, if you're new to the world of GA4, then we have another video which shows you how to do the basics. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of the interface here, and then we're going to dive into some key areas that you want to have a look at in more detail. So when you open GA4, you're going to see something like this. I'm on the Google demo account. You've got this open screen at the front. You've got a bunch of suggestions here as well. Most of the stuff that we're going to be looking at is in the reports section though. So if we open that, we'll see we've got a bunch of categories here. We can see acquisition. So this is basically understanding where visitors are coming into our website from. We can see engagement. That's basically what's happening on our website. And then we can see monetization. Most of this is about e-commerce. We also have the opportunity to build out what are called custom explorations here, which we'll be touching on a little bit later on. If you want to use these though, one quick tip is to go into admin and then under data streams, make sure under data retention, you have your event data retention set to 14 months. Otherwise, by default, in explorations, you're only going to be able to play with 2 months worth of data, which ain't much good. Now, as marketers, one of the things that we most often want to do is understand which pages or blogs or content on our website is bringing us in the most traffic. So let's have a look at exactly how we would do that. Underneath reports here, we would go to engagement and we would click on landing pages. This is going to show us the pages that are bringing in the most traffic on our website. Now, if you want, you can segment this or add filters for different types of traffic. For example, you might want to see the top landing pages for organic traffic or the top landing pages for paid traffic. If you want to do that, you can add a filter here, and then over here you would do channel session default channel group, and you can set this to whatever you want. So let's say that we just wanted to see the top organic landing pages. We will click that, click OK, and that's going to now set us up a filter for organic traffic, so we can now see the top organic traffic landing pages. In this table, of course, we can see a breakdown of the pages. Of course, you can expand this to see more pages if you want to, though of course GA4 tends to be kind of slow. You can then see the number of sessions that have happened with that page as the landing page, the number of users, so a user can have multiple sessions if you visit the website multiple times. You can then see new users, average engagement time per session. You can see the number of conversions that have happened in a session where that was the landing page, and you can break these down if you've got these conversions set up properly in your GA4. And by the way, if you need help setting up GA4, particularly with conversion tracking, because it's nowhere near as simple as it used to be in old Universal Analytics, then click the link below this video in the description, and the team from Exposure Ninja here can help you set up your GA4 account and get the data pulling through properly for you. Now, of course, this view is useful if you're an e-commerce store and you want to see which products are bringing you in the most organic traffic, for example. But what about if you're a service company or a software company and you have content pages and you want to see which of these content pages are bringing in the most traffic for you? One of the most useful uses of this landing page screen is to see which pages are bringing you in the most valuable traffic, not just the most visitors, but the traffic that is turning into leads or sales. So if we have a look at a service business here, we can see that this service business, they are a health clinic. They help people with things like addictions. They have a whole bunch of pages here that are bringing them in traffic. Now, some of these pages are doing really well for traffic volume, i.e. they're producing a lot of sessions. So lots of people are searching for these sorts of topics on Google. They're finding this content that we've put on their website, and then they're clicking through to the website, and then some of them are converting. But remember, when you're analyzing data like this, you don't just want to look at the number of users or the number of sessions that are being brought in through that landing page. You also want to keep an eye on the conversions. How many people are turning into business results from this page? So here we can see this top landing page has produced 12,000 sessions over this time period, and it's brought in 24 conversions. Now, for this business, their conversions are incredibly valuable. So this is an excellent result. But here we can see a page which has produced a similar level of traffic, but has brought 64 conversions in. So if we were going to choose which of these pages to replicate, we might not actually choose the one that is driving the most traffic. We probably choose the one that is driving the most conversions. Now here we can see another page which is getting a similar level of traffic to these first two, but has way fewer conversions. Now when we look at these pages, we can understand why, because this page here that has fewer conversions isn't really targeting the right audience for this business. Yes, it's getting lots of traffic, but most of that traffic isn't really ready to engage with this business, and in fact doesn't necessarily have any commercial intent at all. This is a very broad interest type topic. So this can be one reason why you might see a page getting a lot of traffic, but not necessarily generating as many leads or sales as some of your lower traffic pages potentially. Now, one of the default things I do when I go on this screen is to add in the conversion rate column, because at the moment, whilst we can see views, users, and we can see the number of conversions, sometimes it's much more useful to be able to see conversion rate. So if you want to edit any of these columns, you can do so. Just click on the little pencil icon, then go to metrics and click on add metric. Then you can search for session conversion rate. I'm going to drag that so it's right next to conversions and click apply. That conversion rate column can be so useful because it allows you to compare the performance of different pages regardless of the amount of traffic that they're getting. Now here's a service business where the goal is to try and generate leads from these different service pages. What I'm going to do is click on this arrow next to the heading, and that's going to order the pages by conversion rate, and this will allow me to see which of my pages is converting my traffic the best. Now I can see that I've got a bunch of pages here which really haven't had very many conversions, so the conversion rate data isn't that reliable. But we've got some pages down here that have had more conversions, so their data is a little bit more reliable. For example, we can see this service page has had 42 conversions and a 6.3% conversion rate, whereas this page has had 59 conversions at only a 2.89% conversion rate. So what would I do with that data? Well, I get both of those pages side by side. I'd be having a look to see what's different about those pages that might be getting people to convert over 6% on one of them and less than 3% on the other. So as you're looking through these pages, you might be getting frustrated that some of your pages, whilst they're getting a lot of traffic, they're not converting at the level you might like. How do you fix that? Well, the first thing is to have a look at the calls to action on that page and make sure that they match the intent of someone visiting the page. So we've got other videos that cover this in much more detail, but just have a look at this HubSpot page as an example. This talks about 5 CRMs that now offer AI and how to make the most of them. So they're likely going to be targeting traffic searching for things like AI CRM. Now notice that they've written an informative guide, but the call to action here at the bottom says free CRM software. That's a great call to action for someone who is at this stage in the marketing funnel. Now, of course, in a perfect world, we would all like our traffic to just be continually going up, but that doesn't always happen. So let's look at how to use GA4 to find and diagnose traffic drops. For example, on this website, we can see that traffic has been steadily increasing over time, but then in early May, that traffic starts to drop. Now, it has begun to recover since then, but let's say that we want to identify the cause of this drop. The first thing that we should do is not panic. Have a think about if there's anything wider going on. For example, have you been running campaigns or promotions on a particular topic? Could there be any reasons why you've lost traffic on one particular channel? For example, cutting your social media PPC budget, for example. Now, first thing that we'll want to do is identify which traffic channel or channels are leading to this drop. So in reports, we're going to head over to acquisition and traffic acquisition. And we can see here that it's organic search which has led to this drop. The other traffic channels down here are much less significant and they appear to be much steadier than organic search, which has seen this big increase over time and then this drop. So the next thing that you'll want to do is identify which pages have seen this drop. So what we want to do here is we're going to go back to this landing pages tab under engagement. And remember, because we're looking at organic traffic only here, we need to set up a filter so that we're only viewing landing pages from organic traffic. So I'm going to click this filter button, go to session default channel group, choose organic traffic, click apply, and that's going to show me all of these different pages and how much traffic they've been driving me. Now, there's a couple of different ways I can dig into this data. I could either set up a comparison, so comparing all the traffic to all these pages on the week before the drop and week after the drop, or I can just look through the graphs to see if there are any major visible bumps. Now, it turns out that there is a major visible bump. For example, this purple page here, you can see it's seen this huge increase in traffic, and then almost as quickly as it's seen the increase, that traffic has then dropped again. So that seems to be the main cause of my traffic drop. But let's do a comparison to make double sure. I can see the traffic started to drop from the 9th of May. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare the week before the 9th of May with the week after to see which pages have seen the largest drop. So if I head back over to my landing pages, and I'm going to set a date range here, I'm going to click compare, and I'm going to compare the week before the 9th of May with the week after the 9th of May. So let me just get my comparison there. And there we have it. We can see that this page here, which is, by the way, the same page that had that purple line, has dropped by about half. Now, the rest of the pages have stayed pretty much flat, so I can be fairly certain that it's this page which has led to that ranking drop. So the next thing that you would do is cross-check this data against, say, SEMrush, which is going to show you how your rankings for this page have changed over time. What you might find is maybe a competitor has overtaken you for some phrases. Maybe you used to have a featured snippet showing for that phrase, which now no longer exists. And we saw a similar sort of thing in our recent AO deep dive, where we had a look at AO's data. And whilst we don't have Google Analytics data, we could see that they've had some large ranking drops recently as a result of competitors stealing some of their ranking. In this case, we felt that competitors probably saw AO's content that was ranking and thought they could do a better job, and did. This is why whenever you see a ranking drop like this, you should be heading in to see which keywords have lost visibility, and then going into Google and having a look at what pages are gaining visibility against your losses, just to make sure that the sort of content Google is rewarding with top rankings is the sort of stuff that you're publishing on your website. Now, as well as looking at underperforming pages and content on our websites, we also want to have a look at the different traffic channels that are bringing visitors onto our sites and see how they're performing against each other. If you go into acquisition, traffic acquisition, you'll see this table, which compares all of the different traffic sources to your site, and again allows you to see things like their comparative conversion rates, the amount of conversions that they're bringing, and of course things like sessions and the number of users. Now, one of the mistakes that people make is assuming that just because a particular traffic source isn't driving a lot of visitors or sessions, it's not that valuable. And this is one of the reasons why you also want to make sure you're reviewing session conversion rate. In this example, you can see how email down here, whilst it's not bringing in much traffic to this website, look at the state of that conversion rate. Email has brought in 134 conversions from just 251 users. That's half as many as paid social, despite bringing in fewer than 10% of the visitors. This is actually one of Exposure Ninja's clients where we've started building out an email marketing campaign for them. And this goes to show how much potential there will be with this campaign as we build the list larger and build out automated flows, because this email traffic is performing so well. Here's another client example. This time we're running organic search and paid search for this client. Under our management, both channels have seen massive growth for this business, which has allowed them to expand the business significantly since we started working together. And just look at the number of leads they're getting each year from organic search. But look also at paid search and how well that is performing. The 6% conversion rate for this business from paid search is extraordinary. And you'll see that paid search is now their top performing traffic channel in terms of both conversion rate and the number of conversions it's bringing. Now, you might be looking at this thinking, oh, okay, the organic search isn't really working for them. Well, actually, there is a perfectly good reason why they have a lower conversion rate from organic search traffic. If we go back into engagement, pages, and screens, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a comparison here. So we're going to go to session default channel group, and we're going to choose an organic search segment. We're then going to create another segment, which is going to be the paid search, and this is going to allow us to compare the different page performance for each of these different traffic sources. So there we've got our paid search segment as well. So here we can see how much traffic each one of these pages is getting from each of these different traffic sources. And we can see that a lot of the organic search traffic is coming through blog posts and content. Now, inevitably, this blog post and content traffic has a lower conversion rate to leads because this is more informational, this is more top of funnel traffic. And that explains the difference in conversion rates between these two traffic sources. Now, that's not to say that we don't want this traffic, because it is essentially free. That's the great thing about organic traffic, is you can produce this content once, get it ranking, and it will bring you in traffic forever. And even if it traffic converts at 0.5%, that's still free conversions, which you'll take all day long. Whereas with pay-per-click, obviously most of the time you want to be driving that traffic to landing pages which are going to turn into business right now. So you'll be hoping for a higher conversion rate. Now, if you're looking at this thinking, I don't know which traffic channels I should be focusing on, I don't know which content on my website is working properly, I need some help, I need some support. Don't worry, we've got you. The team here at Exposure Ninja can record you a free website and marketing review which will analyze your website's performance and show you the areas that you need to be focusing on over the next 12 months. We'll record this as a 15-minute video and send it to you usually within 3 to 5 working days. So fill in the form to find out if you're eligible at exposureninja.com/review today. All right, let's say that you've added a piece of content to your website and it's getting loads of traction, it's being shared on social media, or it's picked up loads of ranking. Let's say that you want to add this info into a report for directors or someone in the business, and you also want to check on the performance of this traffic to make sure that it's doing what you expect it to on the website. How would you go about doing this? Now, what you want to do to check the performance of this content is head over to the Pages and Screens tab. What you can then do is make a filter to just look at the performance of this single page. So if you type in page, and you go down to page path and screen class, you can then find the slug of the page and set a filter for it. That means that you're only looking at the performance of this page. Now, this was a blog post for a client of ours that was targeting a fairly niche but incredibly beneficial term. And we picked up featured snippet for this fairly quickly. And you can see how the views on this content have increased as that featured snippet was secured. And by doing this, you can report back to the stakeholders and say, here's what we did for this page and here's how it worked. And here are a bunch more pages that we want to do the same thing for. Now, one of the most important conversion optimization aspects for e-commerce is understanding how people are moving through your store and purchasing. And by the way, this does have relevance for businesses that aren't e-commerce as well, so stick around. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can analyze the performance of an e-commerce store in GA4. One of them is to head into reports and then under monetization, go to e-commerce purchases. We can see the number of times each item has been viewed, how many times it's been added to cart, purchased, and the revenue from each one. And this can be useful in diagnosing the performance of a particular product. But what if we wanted to diagnose the performance of our store as a whole? Well, we could go over to the user purchase journey, and this allows us to see a funnel breakdown of exactly how the store is performing. Now, we can see here in the Google store, for example, that out of these 55,000 visitors that have used the store, 80% of them, or almost 80% of them, drop off, so never even view a product. And then of the ones that view a product, 98% of them drop off before adding that product to their basket. That is horrific. Now, of course, if we actually have a look at the website, we can see these product pages are nasty. They look kind of broken. The layout is totally whack. There's hardly any information. There's no overall info on this page about whether they even ship to my country, how much shipping is going to cost, how long it's going to take. Very difficult to purchase from a product page like this, which would explain these horrific rates. If you compare this with a decent product page like this one on Just Spices, for example, you can see we've got nice product images. We've got plenty of information here. To be fair, this is a beautiful product page. Then you've got all these FAQs at the bottom, which are going to answer the other questions that you might have. But another piece of functionality in GA4 is your ability to create these funnel explorations for yourself. Now, this is a slightly more advanced feature, so stick with me. But if you go down to the Explore tab, you'll see that you can create what are called explorations. These are basically custom reports, and you'll see that one of them is a funnel exploration. We can use this to replicate the view that we've just seen, but any business could use this. A service company could use this to see how many people are coming into their website, how many people are viewing their service pages and how many are converting, or a software company could use this to see how many people are visiting their blog and then moving into their software pages and then moving into the free trial and conversion. So you can use this to see how people are moving through your site and diagnose the different drop-off areas. So let's go through the process of building a funnel. Now, when we click on the funnel exploration, by default, we're going to see a whole bunch of stuff here that isn't really interesting to us. For example, we may or may not want to compare the performance of different devices. For the sake of this experiment, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to remove that. The first thing that we're going to want to do is customize the steps that we are seeing in our funnel exploration. So that's done here. If we click on this little pencil icon, we can see what GA4 thinks we probably want in our funnel exploration. I don't want any of these, so I'm actually just going to delete all of these so I can start again. Now, the first step is going to be session start. You could also set your first step as someone landing on a blog page, for example, so you could measure the performance of people coming in from your blog. You then want to choose the event which matches this stage, so that's going to be session start. Now the next step I want to measure is who's actually going through to viewing a product page. So I'm going to set this step 2 to be product page. I'm going to add a condition. Now what I want to do is I want to choose pages that have product in their URL. So I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to add a filter here which says includes product. Now this is actually a multinational e-commerce store. So as well as adding the English spelling of product, I'm also going to add the other translations. Hey, look Ma, I'm multilingual. I'm then going to add a view cart step. So this is going to be people who've been on a product page and then gone into view cart at some point. And then my final step is going to be purchase. Now, of course, you can add in whatever steps and however many steps you want. If you want to see when people are putting in their payment details, for example, or putting in their address details, as long as you have those events set up in GA4, you can map them in your funnel. And when I hit apply here, I get my breakdown. Now, of course, I can add in all sorts of different analysis on this. I can compare the performance of traffic from different countries. I can compare the performance of different genders. I can compare the performance of people using different devices. This is one of the most powerful parts of GA4, and whilst it's horrifically confusing when you first get to know it, actually once you play with it for a bit, you'll realize the amount of data you can get out of this is staggering. Now on this website, for example, I'm seeing that this drop off between product page and the cart is pretty severe. So we want to diagnose what's going on here and get this fixed, because just fixing that from this one exploration will pay for all of the pain of getting to grips with GA4. I hope you've enjoyed this look at how you can use GA4 to actually make money and find the areas of your marketing that are most likely to result in more revenue. If you want a more basic breakdown of some of the overall functionality in GA4, then check out this video, which breaks it all down in total plain English. There's no jargon at all. Thanks for subscribing. See you next week.